all sorts of questions you ask about vision, which are not restricted to what is more technically called science. You can ask again, colours, use of colours, and which you use colours metaphorically. Talk about being red hot or something. Even red hot. Touch a red thing, is it hotter than what do you think? So you could, any of these things is a possibility to ask a question. I don't think any person, child, adult, or any age, speak for more than 5 minutes without making all sorts of metaphorical references to some aspect of light, and vision, and seeing, perceiving, in which you might challenge, might be an opportunity to challenge and say, well, why do you say that? Why do you do that? Why do you think that way? There was a thing I was just reading yesterday about somebody trying to analyze the situation in Eastern Europe through the prism of the Defense Department in Washington. What do you mean through the prism? Prism is an optical instrument. What is it about an optical instrument? They have a big giant prism in Washington, so we're looking at eastward. It's not absurd. What is it? What sense is a prism? What does it mean when you see look at something through a prism? And I think my guess is now that both for you, for everybody, but for you and children particularly, who are not particularly concerned with science as some abstract discipline, experience to embed what they're talking about in their everyday experience and language is an advantage. Is that right? I can't think of any other aspect of science that's so much in language and vision. That's why I've chosen it. You could do something comparable for electricity, other things, which also, but it's a much newer science. Electricity is a relatively recent concept. I mean, it didn't exist or something. It existed 200 years ago. It's most. There's people been writing light and vision and phenomena. Not only scientifically, it's at least more than 2,500 years, 3,000 years. And certainly in our language, whereas electricity didn't come into the language at all in the last couple of hundred years. So it's endless scope here. Now, I know we're going to have a lot of discussion about, sooner or later, what could I do with children? One's always got one eye on the main task, which is children. You look at something, you weigh, judge, could I teach it that way? Particularly in your case, I suppose, could I teach it to your children in the classroom? Well, as I said, I am not going to try and tell you how to teach. I'm assuming you have more experience and know more about that than I do teaching children. I want to share with you certain problems, tasks with science, which will mostly be a question of doing it. Sometimes will relate it to how these things came to be known in the first place, how they affect the practices in the present day. And in that connection, I'm going to tell you a favourite parable, which, Marty, you'll forgive me, you've heard it before.
That's okay.
I'm sure you may depend down to about Francis Bacon. I suppose you know Francis Bacon was one of the close to 400 years ago, I suppose it was flourished, and one of the first non-scientists. He wasn't a scientist, there were no scientists in those days, the word didn't exist. Scientists is a relatively new word. Science is an old word. Scientist is a new word. 19th century. There were philosophers, there were chemists, there were mathematicians, geographers. Well, he was a statesman, I suppose. Politician, statesman. But he's credited with stimulating an interest in science in England in the early 17th century, and even with starting the whole development of encouragement of science by the state. And he's trying to describe what science is all about.